The Campaign-Driven Enterprise Workshop is a 2-day process where we look at your promotions and campaigns for the 12 months ahead. We've run it all over the world with entrepreneurs and leaders, people who focused on marketing, winning new business, and doing it in a bit of a different way. So most businesses are focused at winning clients one at a time, whereas a campaign-driven enterprise runs a series of campaigns and promotions to get their business what's called oversubscribed. That is that they have more people who want to do business with them than they can possibly do business with. That means they can be a bit more choosy, they can charge a premium price, they can have more fun, they can be more creative, they can factor in a little bit more margin, they can choose to work with the exact perfect type of customer that they love to serve. For the last 15 years, I've been growing businesses using campaigns and promotions. I started my first company at age 21. We launched with a campaign-driven enterprise model, and we went from $0 to $1 million worth of sales in the first 12 months. I've grown businesses in Australia, Singapore, UK and USA using the campaign-driven enterprise methodology. Most businesses make a huge mistake of trying to win business in a linear way. They go out one at a time. They go and approach people one at a time. They think of the world in terms of prospects and leads as opposed to what's called a market-making process. When you have a campaign-driven enterprise, you first make a market that is bigger than what you need, and then you select the clients from within that market. It's a subtle difference, but it causes a profound shift in the way the business operates. The other huge problem that most businesses have is they're caught competing on price in a very commoditized world. Because of all the technology that we live with, if you want to shop around and have a look at different ideas or solutions or different suppliers, it's very easy to compile a list of all the different companies you could be working with. So from a customer's point of view, they always feel spoilt for choice, and they can shop around on price and quality, and almost turns most businesses into a commodity. What we do in the campaign-driven enterprise process is we break free of the constraints of being commoditized, and we use campaigns and promotions to decommoditize the business. One of the big problems that businesses face is that they lack a strategy for the times that we're in. So we live in a time where social media, new media, globalization are all forces that are factored in and around our business and our price. Businesses can shop for a supplier internationally very easily. They can find a service provider who's a million miles away. So what we have to do is adopt a strategy that's right for the times that we're in. One key difference that we talk about is the role of information marketing or information products. It wasn't that long ago that you could sell information, you could have information products, and you could generate significant revenues on information. What we've found now is that information is really only used for the relationship building phase of building a business. What people want to pay more for is the implementation work. Does that mean that you don't have information products? Not at all. What it means is that they have a role to play in the relationship building phase. They're very scalable, they cost almost nothing to distribute, and they play a very important role. But we have to understand how those strategies fit within the context of the world we're going into, not the last 10 years. So what has to happen is businesses have to adopt a different philosophy, and it's not the common philosophy. In fact, 70–80% of all businesses are struggling and they're barely able to pay their bills, let alone make profit. So if we do the status quo, we're probably going to fail. We have to adopt a almost counterintuitive philosophy to understand the market and understand the way that we market. So for example, putting a lid on capacity, where we actually say this is the number of clients we're going to take on and we're not going to take on more, whereas traditional philosophy would say take on as many customers as you can. So there's some counterintuitive philosophies that we have to get our head around, we have to think through, and we have to apply to our own businesses, and we do that at the Campaign-Driven Enterprise Workshop. So we take people through a staged approach to running campaigns. We look at the campaign planning phase, where you're actually building assets, strategizing, looking at the timelines ahead. The build-up phase, where you do a combination of information, entertainment and education, where you build up a market that's oversubscribed for your capacity. We do some market testing and signaling to figure out if you are in fact actually oversubscribed. We do a staged release. Then we do a phase which is about sales follow-up to make sure we maximize the value of campaign. Then we do something where we do rest and we analyze the results. So we take some breaks, we celebrate, we innovate, and we go back to the start. Now, most businesses will do some planning for the year ahead. I'm going to get businesses to actually plan out 3 campaigns using that staged approach, as well as the usual activity that they're going to have in the year ahead. And it should normally result in at least a 6-figure uplift to the business. The other thing we do at the Campaign Driven Enterprise Workshop is we look at the campaign team. So it's impossible to run great campaigns as a solo person. Even if you are a very small business and you have a very small team, or even if it's just you, for the purpose of running a campaign, you are going to have to enroll some key people around you. Maybe they're suppliers or contractors, but you will have to have a team. It's going to pay great dividends if you know what you're doing, but we have to look at those roles and how people are going to play those roles. What are the key deliverables that people are going to have if they're on your team? And then the final thing that we look at is what are the resources you're going to need? Obviously, if you're going to run a campaign that's going to generate a 6 or a 7-figure uplift across the course of a year, it's going to involve some resources. There'll be suppliers who are going to help you with creative. There's going to be some technology. There's going to be some funding requirements. And we're going to look at how to get resourceful around running campaigns so that you can maximize the impact of each campaign that you run. Right now, some major trends are converging. There's technological trends that are totally changing the landscape of business, and we have to factor that into our strategy. There's trends with demographics, things like baby boomers are heading into retirement and millennials are coming in to take their place, but there's a different mindset between the two groups, and we have to take that into consideration. We have a different environment for business where we live in a globalized world where suppliers can be anywhere in the world. We have government austerity programs, changing the way that the economy runs, for example. So a lot's changing. And what we've devised is a strategy that is right for the times we're in and the times we're going into, and not a strategy that's based upon the last 10, 15, 20 years. I've drawn from the best of my experience, but most of the workshop is based upon my vision for the future. We've priced the workshop for entrepreneurs. A lot of the people we were coming in contact with were not big businesses. Sure enough, we've had some big brands and some big companies do the workshop, and for them it's a no-brainer, but we actually priced the program so that any startup or early stage business could take part in it. We've used this process for launching several startups, and we wanted this to be a process that we could get case studies and testimonials and success stories of all sizes of business. To do that, we had to make it affordable at every stage in the journey. The most important thing to know is that even though there's a lot of change and transformation, this is an awesome time to be in business. Never in history has there been so much upside potential. Never in history has there been so much free resources if you know how to use them. Never in history have you been able to get a message to the world for such a little cost. If you can get it right, this is probably the greatest shift in wealth for you personally and as an economy. So the CDE workshops have already been run around the world. We've run them in Australia, Singapore, the UK, and we're running them in the USA and other parts of the world as well. It's run over 2 days, and you'll walk away with a clear plan for promoting your business in the year ahead.